Good evening to everyone. I thank first Dr. Raghunandan contacted me and asked me to do this session. And I thank everyone from the Junior Doctors Association of IMB for giving me this opportunity. With this, I will start the session. So I will tell very brief things about the scope of physiology after the MBBS. So once you complete your PG, that is MD Physiology, after that you will be a fresher and you can join any medical college as a teaching purpose as a senior resident. Then you can join private college or government college or a central institute as a faculty. Or otherwise, you can also the role of a researcher, or you can do patient services and establish the labs and enter into the clinical physiology stream. Or now you can join the course, the DM in Clinical and Interventional Physiology offered by AIIMS Patna. So after you complete the MD Physiology course, you can join any medical college where as a senior resident. So it will be a tenured position not exceeding 3 years. Then after that, you can become a faculty, that is an assistant professor. According to NMC, 1 year of senior residency is compulsory before taking a post as assistant professor. In the central institutes like AIIMS, GMARC, 3 years of teaching experience or research experience, that is a senior resident, is compulsory before getting the post of an assistant professor. Then you may be promoted as associate professor. If you have 5 years post PG experience and mandatorily include 4 years experience as assistant professor according to NMC with 2 research publications, and you have to complete the basic course in medical education and basic course in biomedical research. In the Institute of National Importance, you need 6 years teaching or research experience in recognized institute, and the age should not exceed 50 years. After that, you can be promoted to additional professor in the central institutes where they need 10 years teaching experience or research experience and the age not exceeding 58 years. Next, you can be promoted to professor according to the NMC. 8 years post PG experience is needed with 4 research publication and the completion of basic course in medical education and basic course in biomedical research is mandatory. And in central institutes, you need to have 14 years teaching experience or research experience to get qualified to become a professor. So this is about the teaching stream. If you want to give patient services or establishing the clinical lab, you can opt for different labs. You should get a training in those labs. For example, electrophysiology lab, sleep lab, neurocognitive labs, autonomic function labs, and pulmonary function labs, exercise physiology labs, and intraoperative neuromonitoring. And there are several opportunities and researches available, the adaptation to the extreme environment and the molecular labs. So I will tell briefly about each lab and what is your opportunity in that and how which doctors will refer you to that lab. You can also establish your separate lab without joining any other institution. So electrophysiology studies. This includes the nerve conduction study and EMG. So you can help the orthopedicians or the neurologist or the pediatrician. They refer the patients to your lab. You have to do the nerve conduction study. You have to assess the sensory and the motor functions of the nerve. And this is a reliable test. It establishes the type and the degree of abnormalities of the various nerves. And it helps in the diagnosis as well as the prognosis for the clinicians. And you can do the test the motor nerve and the sensory nerve. In the motor nerve conduction, you give two stimulus. One is the distal, another is the proximal. In that, you get a compound muscle action potential, and you will get a curve like this. So we will have to estimate the latency and the amplitude and the duration. If the latency is prolonged, it indicates there is a conduction block or there is a demyelination. And the amplitude, it indicates the number of nerve fibers involved. And you can test the sensory nerves. Usually we test the antidromic, and orthodromic can also be used for testing the sensory nerves. You have to estimate the amplitude and duration of the sensory nerve conduction, and you have to compare with the previous values, that is the normative data, and you can tell that it is either normal or abnormal.
Yes, ma'am, you can continue, ma'am.
Actually, it is not moving. My slide is not moving. Hello?
Just click OK if you got any pop-up regarding live streaming.
Yes.
Now it's moving.
Now it is moving. And next is the EMG lab, where in the nerve conduction study, along with that, you have to do the electromyography. The electromyography refers to the methods of studying the electrical activity of the muscle. It can be done either invasive or non-invasive. Invasive means we will be using the needle electrodes. Non-invasive means we will be using the surface electrodes. For disease diagnosis or prognosis of a disease condition, we have to use the invasive, the needle electrodes. And it is very important diagnostic tool to differentiate the disorder, whether it is a neuropathic or a myopathy, that can be differentiated by the EMG. Now they go for most of the myopathies, they go for genetic testing, which is the confirmatory, but they are very costly. So neurologists, they mainly need the help of EMG. And we can also find where is the entrapment, where is the level of the entrapment, and neuromuscular disorders, whether it is a dystrophy or polymyositis. These things can be diagnosed with the help of EMG along with the NCS. And then you can establish your lab, and you can do the evoked potentials. What is evoked potential? Evoked potentials are the record of electrical event that occur in a specific region of the cortex after the stimulation of a sense organ. You can stimulate the auditory, this thing, it's called auditory evoked potential, or the eyes vision, that is the visual evoked potentials. In visual evoked potentials, the stimulus will be given and the electrical activity of the cortex can be recorded. Okay. It is recorded with the help of the scalp electrodes. There are several types of visual evoked potential. One is pattern reversal, which is most commonly used, or we can use flash or goggle EEG. Flash or goggle EEG is used for infants or non-cooperative patients. The pattern reversal VEP. In the pattern reversal VEP, see there is the square boxes of white and black which will reverse. This is the stimulus that is given, and you will get the waves like this. The P300 wave, it should appear at 100th millisecond. If there is an increase in latency, it indicates that there is a problem with the nerve. Either there is a demyelination or optic neuritis. So this P100 is very important in establishing the function of the optic nerve. So we have three nerves. One is the negative peak, then positive peak, which occurs at the 100 millisecond, which is called as the P100, and another is the negative peak, which occurs at 145 millisecond. We call N145. We usually see the amplitude and the latency. What are the indications for doing this VEP? That is any visual loss. For example, optic neuritis, glaucoma, ischemic optic neuropathy to assess the nerve. Or if you have to plan for keratoplasty. For example, a child has a cornea that is not, that is opaque. You have to go for a replacement. But before that, whether the child has gone for amblyopia or not, we don't know. So we have to test the functionality of the optic nerve before doing keratoplasty. For that, VEP can be used. Next is the another evoked potential, that is the brainstem auditory evoked potentials. These electrical signals are recorded along the auditory pathway in response to an auditory stimulus by keeping the electrodes on the skull. What are the indications? There is a hearing loss. We can assess where is the hearing loss, what level is the problem. And in case of brainstem dysfunction, for example, cerebropontanal angle tumor, stroke, for everything, we can use the brainstem auditory evoked potential. Another is the P300. It is otherwise called as the cognitive evoked potential. So it is otherwise called as the event-related potentials. That is, the person will be given a stimulus. Two types of stimulus will be given. One will be a frequent stimulus, that is an auditory stimulus, which occurs at a frequent duration. Another one is an infrequent stimulus that will be different from the previous stimulus. This individual has to differentiate between these two. So this will be recorded, and the positive wave that occurs at the 300 millisecond is called as the P300. Okay, so it can be used for the progression if there is any cognitive impairment, or it can be used for the to find the progression of the disease and what is the response to the treatment. Then there are you can have a lab where you can go for vestibular function test. So it is performed to assess the inner ear balance organs. There are several tests available like video dead impulse test, vestibular evoked myogenic potentials, rotational chair test, etc. So who will refer patients to you? There will be ENT surgeons or neurologists or geriatric medicine people will send the patients to your lab. And the patient usually complain of vertigo, nausea, vomiting, intolerance to head motion, unsteady gait, postural instability, nystagmus, etc. Then now the upcoming is the sleep lab. Sleep medicine is devoted to the diagnosis and therapy of sleep disturbances and disorders. And nowadays, many universities and organizations across the globe offer the fellowship and courses in sleep medicine. So, and what are the indications for referring the patients to the sleep lab? Is the patient narcolepsy, sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, periodic leg movement disorder, and other types of sleep disorders. The neurologist, ENT surgeons for obstructive sleep apnea. So many people are now referring to the sleep lab. Then you can also have an EEG lab. EEG lab records electrical activity in the brain. It is a non-invasive test. It works by picking up the brain waves via the electrodes that are attached to the skull. So we do EEG in case of patients with seizures, head injuries, dizziness, headache, brain tumors, and with sleep problems. So it can be also used to confirm the brain depth. Then you can also establish a cognitive function lab. What is cognition? Cognition is a multidimensional entity and is concerned with full range of psychological processes, ranges from sensation to execution. So there are several cognitive function tests like trial making test, food test, MOCA, flankers test, etc. There are several domains of cognition, and we can plan the test to test which domain. For example, executive function, we can use the trial making test or the Stroop test. So different tests we can also ourselves design and standardize and use. So what are the indications to test the cognitive impairment? And each test is carefully constructed to evaluate various domains such as memory, language, executive function, abstract reasoning, attention, and visual spatial space. And now pain labs have been established. Pain is one of the primary sensations which serve as protective response to tissue damage. It is a subjective experience and solely depends on individual's response. So now they have a standardized series of behavioral and electrophysiological techniques that will be used in the pain lab. And transcranial magnetic stimulation is an upcoming field that can be used to improve the symptoms of major depression. And ongoing studies have proven that transcranial magnetic stimulation can also be used to treat the pain, tinnitus, anxiety, and other things. Next is the autonomic function lab. You can do the autonomic function test. These are performed to confirm the clinical diagnosis of autonomic dysfunctions to assess the degree of sympathetic and parasympathetic involvement. So the standard lab testing evaluates cardiovagal, pseudomotor, and adrenergic autonomic functions. So to evaluate the severity and the distribution of pseudomotor, cardiovagal, and adrenergic function using non-invasive quantitative tests, and to diagnose limited or restricted autonomic failure, and to diagnose POTS, that is hypotension. And you can also have the pulmonary function lab where you can do the pulmonary function test. This now after COVID, so many people are having post-COVID sequelae also. So this importance of pulmonary function lab has increased. It is used to assess the severity of a known lung disease, to assess the change of lung function in response to treatment, to show the presence or absence of lung dysfunctions, to assess the potential effect of occupational or environmental exposure, to assess the pre-operative risk. Next is the exercise physiology lab. The exercise physiology lab is used to study the acute responses and chronic adaptations to exercise. That is the changes in metabolism and the physiology of different areas of the body, like the heart, the lungs, and even in the cells. What are the changes that are happening? Next, the upcoming field is the intraoperative neuromonitoring. The surgeries have a potential for causing injury to the nervous system, so that cannot be detected by the visual inspection. But intraoperative recording of the neuroelectrical potential, it helps us to assess the function nearly continuously throughout the surgery. So intraoperative neurophysiological monitoring involves the use of neurophysiological recordings for detecting the changes in the function of the nervous system. Next, a lot of research options are available in the high altitude physiology. The high altitude exposure, it causes a series of physiological responses, termed acclimatization. If it fails, it leads to acute mountain sickness, high altitude cerebral edema, high altitude pulmonary edema. And AIIMS Rishikesh offers a course in high altitude medicine. The DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization, and Defense Institute of High Altitude Research is working on the cold arid agro-animal technologies. And Defense Institute of Physiology and Allied Sciences conducts physiological and biomedical research to improve human performance in extreme and wartime environment. And now lots of research is going on in the zero gravity of the space physiology. The life evolved on Earth, and we have been there on Earth for 4.8 billion years. We have been adapted to the gravity. When we go from the gravity to microgravity, that is in the space, a zero gravity. So what are the changes that are happening in our body? So much of research is going on now. So gravity is the signal that tells our body how to act. So how the physiology changes if we go to the zero gravity. And also you can establish the molecular lab, that is research on cellular physiology, ion channels, transporters, signaling, neurogenic mechanisms of diseases, identifying various biomarkers, DNA, RNA extractions, RT-PCR techniques. Everything can be done. So much of opportunities and labs are available where you can give clinical services as well as you can do a lot of research scope is available. But only thing is you have to first select your area of interest and you have to work in that area of interest so that you can master something. Otherwise, each and every area is very wide. You cannot learn everything. Now, AIMS Patna is offering DM in clinical and interventional physiology. So, the number of seats 4 per year, and qualification is MD DNB in physiology, and upper age limit and relaxation is there. 45 years is the upper age limit, and there are 3 years and 5 years relaxation according to the category. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And can we move on to the doubt session?
Shall we stop the screen sharing or it will be there?
No, you can start.
Okay.
Thank you for the session, ma'am. And can we, participants, you can post your doubts in the chat box. Ma'am, can we start the doubt session?
Yes, Parthiban.
The first question is, did you have any second thought at any time in your life for choosing a non-clinical branch?
Definitely not. Choosing a preclinical, now we don't call it as a non-clinical, it is a preclinical. And we are giving clinical services. Previously, I was working in AIMS Kalyani, where I started nearly 5 labs. We have a lot of patients and we are giving patient services. So for pulmonary function, we get 30 patients, around 30 patients per day. We are doing a nerve conduction, EMG, autonomic functions, and EEG. A lot of patients we are getting.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Can you please elaborate about ACME?
ACME is advanced course in medical education. That is for the teachers, medical teachers. We undergo the course under the nodal center from NMC.
Okay, thank you. And the final question is, are there any opportunities for physiology in abroad? Can you please discuss about it?
As such, MD physiology from India, you have to do USMLE lab only. That is, you cannot go with this MD physiology to these countries. So, but you have a lot of research opportunities. You have to do your research, and then with that, you can join as a researcher.
Okay. If there are any more questions, participants, please post in the chat box. I think those are the questions, ma'am. Thank you for the session, ma'am. Now I hand over the session to Dr. Raghunandan Ramanathan, sir, for delivering the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session elaborating the opportunities post MD physiology. I think, as you told, there is a lot of scope even for the preclinical subject, especially physiology and biochemistry, because both are topics which both are the subjects which are actually equally important in diagnosing a disease, and that is equally important for the physicians too for confirming their clinical diagnosis. So it's it's very important at this point of time to note that even preclinical branches has a good scope in our country, and it's a welcome move by AIIMS partner to bring in a DM specialization in physiology that will also help in the equal participation and also encourages the students to take up MD physiology as their career post MBBS. And today we have learned so much about even myself don't know these many tests comes under the physiology, and these are prevalent in medical hospitals. So thank you so much, fam, for this wonderful session. And if you have any doubts, even after the session in guiding to you for taking the physiology as your career, you can very well post to us, or either you can contact me or Venkatesh sir or anyone from the JDN Council, so that the answers will be shared from our respected speaker for today. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you, Parthiban, for doing an amazing session. Thank you, sir and ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we end today's session. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I think, ma'am, that we do not have any more questions. So thank you so much for your wonderful session. With this, we conclude here. Thank you all the doctors for participating. Have a great day ahead, ma'am. Good night.
Thank you.